This video is going to deal with the earliest human inhabitants of North America. We'll start with their arrival and we'll go up to not very far. That's not clear enough. Not very far, meaning like I'm talking like, I don't know, 500, 700 CE. This is what North America looks like with none of our modern borders on it. And I'd just like to show it to you, just again to give you a sense of what the people who arrive here are walking into. They're coming into a place that doesn't have the national borders you know now. They're just coming into a really wide, diverse continent and settling it for the first time. These are the kind of places the very first inhabitants of North America came to settle on. This is what they saw, lots of forests, lots of different environments. This right here is actually a computer rendering of a place you probably know pretty well and what it probably looked like before the arrival of the Europeans. Here it is again, viewed from the south, and here it is today. Those images before were what Manhattan looked like when the Native Americans lived in North America exclusively. When Europeans did arrive, the transformation started to look a little like this. This is New York City very early on. And this is New York City when it started getting a little bit more developed. That's actually Columbia University you see in the background. You can see the transformation taking place a little bit, less forced than there used to be, and now obviously you know what it looks like. So the most commonly accepted theory, it is still a theory, but it's a theory the way that the gravity's a theory. I mean, this really is what happened. People got to North America at first from Asia. They walked across a land bridge that existed during the last ice age that connected modern-day Russia to modern-day Alaska, and they came in through that route. And then that's the only humans to get to North America, South America. They're all descended, the Native Americans at least, all descended from those people that walked across that land bridge, but then went away when the ice age ended. But the people were already here, and they were here to stay. Like people everywhere, they start out as hunter-gatherers, but then in many areas begin farming societies later on in their history. They hunter-gather for a while, and then later on they learn to farm. These here are some interesting things. These are called arrowheads. They're like they were the tips of spears that various Native Americans would use to hunt for their food, and they're things that you can find, right? This is ancient history that is alive in the dirt right here where we are. North America is a very diverse place. You can tell you got your way cold area up in the top there. Northern Canada and Alaska is very cold, going all the way down to where we live. If you go to the left, if you go down there in the southwestern modern-day United States, you get real hot and dry. We got everything, right? If you go further south, you get even almost more, you get more tropical. We've got everything here, so those different climates result in many different cultures popping up in these areas. The Inuits near the Arctic Circle are people like are pictured here. They are the ones that stay up north, that stay up at the top where it's very cold. They ride around in kayaks, and they hunt seals with harpoons. They have again their own culture living in a very cold area. Not their communities don't get very, very large because the areas up there are a little bit hostile. The Anasazi people in the American Southwest are very impressive. They create these large societies. They create large societies, big cities, in areas that have very little water. They create large cities in areas that today have no city because it's super dry there. They had ingenious ways and wells and crazy stuff that they used to get water, because obviously people really, really need water, but they had ways to get it. The Anasazi are very well known for their pueblo dwellings. These are the ones that you see right here. They're remarkably well preserved for, ancient sites because of the dry climate that they're in. And these people were gone. This civilization was gone by the time that Europeans arrived and found or saw these ruins. Our best understanding of the situation is they had this big advanced civilization, this complicated society with cities for a really long time, and then hundreds and hundreds of years, but then the climate shifted and things got drier, and the innovative methods they used to get water became less effective. They weren't able to get as much water, so the water level goes down. They're not able to get water. People need water, so there end up being a lot of fights and wars over the dwindling resource of water, and it ends up just being the end of their world. You know what I mean? It ends up being this apocalypse where they all fight each other and civilization goes down, their government goes down. Hopefully some of them got out and moved other places, but all we know is they are gone. The Hopewell people in the Ohio River are also known as the mound builders because they build these things. This is not a man-made mountain. This is made by them, probably for rituals and stuff. And they also had a very complicated society with advanced government. They were very interesting, very complicated. They're the mound builders. They're the Hopewell. They live in the Ohio River. You're good. And the Iroquois. The Iroquois of the Northeast, so this is near and dear to our hearts here. The Iroquois are very complicated. They have an advanced government, and to sort of sum it up, they had different tribes that they were composed of, and they were allied with this with this government that allied them and had rules about how they worked. And it was sort of a model that some of our founders, that Ben Franklin, looked at when they were making the United States. The advanced and complicated government of the Iroquois, which used checks and balances to balance the different tribes, was something that he looked to. The name of that alliance was called the Iroquois League, and they had this interesting way of voting. Every tribe had a representative, and the representatives had to be men in these councils where they would make the decisions. But who the representatives were chosen by the female elders, the mothers of the tribe. So it was a sort of interesting way of balancing power. They also had longhouses, like you see down here.